Hey y'all, Bill Quirk with BDU. Coming back today, we're going to talk about carry gun selection, defensive firearm selection generally, primarily with carry guns, but it'll also apply as well to home defense guns. So this is something that I get in class a lot. People come in and they're either looking to buy a gun or they've got their gun. And there are questions about, did I make the right choice, or what should I buy if I haven't already purchased it? And there are some general considerations that we're going to talk about, recognizing as we go that reality does have to intrude. So to start out, some general rules. Bigger guns are generally easier to shoot and manipulate. There's more weight for recoil management. There's more for you to hold on to control the recoil. They tend to have better sights, better triggers. They tend to be chambered in more effective cartridges. They tend to carry more ammunition. On the flip side, smaller guns, which are what we normally see and think about for concealed carry, are generally easier to conceal, but they're not as easy to shoot. They're smaller, there's less to hold on to, there's less weight for that recoil management. The sights and triggers frequently are not as good. They tend to be chambered for less effective cartridges in a lot of cases, and they tend to hold less ammunition. Now, those are general rules. The first thing we want to do when we're talking about selecting our defensive firearm is define the mission. Why do we have this thing? Why are we carrying this? Why do we have it for home defense? And the answer there clearly is this is a tool that I hope to never use, but if I need it, it's to save my life or the life of somebody that I care about. So that's the first and foremost consideration, is I have to be able to use this tool effectively to save my life or the life of somebody I care about. In short, I have to be able to fight with this device. It's got to be something that can do two things. One, I have to be able to get my hits, and two, it has to be utterly reliable. Those are the two first and foremost considerations. Other things like size and weight, they're important considerations, but they're further on down the chain. There are other things that we're going to think about, but further on. First and foremost, I've got to be able to use the gun effectively to get my hits, and it's got to be utterly reliable. Because of my life, I'm a retired law enforcement officer. I used to do fugitive apprehension. Because of those reasons, I prefer large, full-size guns. Now I'm a professional instructor. This is what I do for a living. I teach guns. So I use tools that are commensurate for the job. This is not to say, though, that you've got to carry a full-size pistol. You have to find something that will meet your needs and something that you're able to fight with. So one of the old rules that we used to hear about was the first rule of a gunfight is to have a gun. First rule of a gunfight is to have a gun. And I would clarify that a little bit and say the first rule of a gunfight is to have a gun that you can use effectively. Because the argument was, if I had a big gun that I shot really well, but I never carried it because it was so heavy, so bulky, and it's not going to fit in with my wardrobe, then that doesn't do me any good when I actually need it. Well, the inverse is also true. If I've got a smaller gun that I can't use effectively, even if I have it with me, it's really not going to do what I need. It's going to make me ineffective as far as my bad guy, and it's going to make me a liability to everybody else because I can't get my hits. So we have to find a happy medium there. We have to pick something that we're going to have with us, but that we can still fight with. Like I said, I prefer full-size guns. In a little bit, we're going to talk about the three that are here. We have a couple of Glock 17s and then a Glock 45. I've got a Glock 17 on. As I said, I prefer a full-size gun because of the advantages it gives me as far as shootability. It does require a bit more consideration with my wardrobe, belt, and holster in order to conceal it effectively, but in my opinion, the juice is worth the squeeze because of what I do and what I've done. So there are some good small guns out there. The Glock 43, the Glock 43X, the Glock 48, the SIG 365 series, 365, 365 XL. The Springfield Armory Hellcat, the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield. All very, very good smaller guns that will allow you to conceal them very effectively under even light clothing such as we tend to wear here in Florida during the summer with all the heat and humidity. But at the same time, with proper practice, you can do what you have to do. You can get those hits at both the close-in distances for our normal type situation that we would anticipate, but also longer distances for those situations that might require that. Remember, you want to prepare for both the fight that you expect, which is probably close range, but also the fight that you don't, because those things happen as well. So when you're picking your gun, make sure that you bear in mind all these considerations. Size is not the most important consideration. You need to pick something that will fit with your lifestyle so that you'll have it with you when you need it. But first and foremost, make sure that it is something that you can use effectively if you do ever need to use this. So that's the first thing we want to talk about here. We're going to segue now and continuing on with this vein, talk about modifications and enhancements that you may or may not want to do to your defensive firearm. And that's going to be the next thing that we talk about.